Hello, and welcome to a new episode from the Markets Middleman Forex Forecast. Today is Sunday, January 18, and as usual, we prepare ourselves for the potential scenarios ahead, so we are so ready and prepared for the next week ahead. Um, I just want to mention that none of this is any of a financial advice. This is just pure my opinion, and it's just shared for some educational purposes only. With that being said, we see, as usually, I would like to start from the DXY, the weekly time frame, because if you really nail this chart on the DXY, you pretty much have a clear perspective on the rest of the forex market, especially the major USD pairs. So, in the last forecast, we expected that the weekly had turned bullish right after this close of the weekly chart. And yes, we were waiting for a retracement and a couple of areas of interest on the daily and the weekly time frame and for a potential continuation to the upside. So we definitely saw that playing out in this past week, and we see that price is no longer afraid of this weekly previous imbalance, which worked to just push price lower to make as a just finish its retracement and then push higher. So I think it's just a matter of time where we can also just break much higher and reach out those two levels, those two buy sides over here. So just as a simple recap, what happened last week, there's a very obvious um, level where the market tested, okay, and we can see this on the daily time frame. It was a previous breaker block over here, and on the 12-hour time frame we see this play to the tick. So notice how this 12-hour breaker was formed. Price created a sell side right at Monday's open, then swept this sell side, tapped into the 12-hour order block, and just pushed higher. Again, made the last nice displacement on Thursday, Friday, retested back into this daily order block. I will show it to you on the daily time frame. So this was the daily order block last down closing candle. It was the low of Friday. So notice on the 1 hour time frame what Friday did. So it created a sell side, okay, between London and New York session. Price did not reach the daily order block yet, so it created a sell side and then manipulated lower into the daily order block and then made fresh new displacement to the upside. So where is DXY heading going into the next week? So the bias is really straightforward here. It's definitely bullish. It's just a matter of a question whether we're gonna have a pullback or market just gonna continue going higher. So the first level I have is December high. Okay, so the previous monthly high as well as this buy side within this range over here. And of course, ultimately those two relative buy sides over there. But we take the levels step by step. So I just want to see one of two things. Either a sweep to Friday's low, which becomes our new point of interest. Just I expect this scenario to happen just for the fact that Monday couldn't sweep or couldn't close, sorry, above the high of Friday. But since this candle's closed above Wednesday's high, then the high could be taken before the low. So I expect the market to run up before it even run down. And from here, after taking December high, we want to see if either we're gonna get another correction, just as we saw over here and over here as well, or just another displacement to the upside, and then this could become our next potential area of interest for continuations. So I think price needs a little bit of time to show us, and I think this will be the answer early next week. So either another sweep for this low, so this becomes a corrective form and then a displacement, or just a displacement higher, not really be afraid from December high, and then a correction to the downside, and a continuation to the upside. So this is according to the DXY. I'm definitely bullish for next week ahead. Now moving forward to the euro, I see that on the weekly time frame we also spoke about the potential for a continuation to the downside, either from a daily fair value gap, which I will show you soon, or from this inverse fair value gap on the weekly time frame, which we really saw playing out perfectly during last week, and price just dropped lower aggressively from here, and we're seeing lower lows, lower highs. However, also this week confirmed a close below previous week. So this is really starting to become or to appear as a bearish retracement within this big wave to the upside which we saw during 2025. So I'm not sure if we're gonna continue going higher through the rest of the week or the year, but what I know is that short term the euro is very bearish, at least until this sell side, or this one over here, which was just formed as a wick. So usually price would like to refill those wicks again. So it's the inverse of the DXY. So this is why whatever I pointed out on the DXY, it's just the inverse on the euro. But just as a quick recap on last week, I expected this daily fair value gap to play out, and it really did from a closing perspective, but Monday was pure manipulation. So Monday wanted to sweep something else. I couldn't actually have a proper area of interest. I wanted price to just keep on going a little bit more up into the daily breaker, but all of this was just within the inverse on the weekly. So price could really go down from anywhere at once within this range. But after some observation, I realized that price took the 61 Fibo level, okay, which was kind of logical just by nesting those highs over here around the 61 Fibo level, which acted as resistance, and price dipped lower. So right after this push to the downside, the bias was almost back to being super bearish also on the hourly time frame after Monday manipulated more than I expected. So, but especially after this displacement to the downside. So notice how price reached an area of interest, made a low, and then made a baseline or a breaker, and then broke it to the downside, creating this as a next target to be filled and then ripped lower. Also notice how this displacement to the downside, it ran through this sell side and then created a 4-hour order block in addition to a 1-hour fair value gap, which played with us on Friday beautifully. So I'll just take this daily fair value gap a little bit to the backside. Notice how after price displaced lower, it did not reach this sell side over here. And Thursday closed well below Wednesday. So notice where Tuesday closed, well below Wednesday, leaving for us a beautiful 1-hour fair value gap aligning with this daily breaker over here. So this was really magnificent. It was very fast. There was, I think, some news or some speech on Friday that caused some volatility, and price dipped in a beautiful way. So what happened right now? Okay, let me get back to the daily time frame and what's my plan going into the new week. Same as what I'm waiting on the DXY again, but it's in the inverse. So notice how Friday and Wednesday created the daily fair value gap, aligning with the daily order block and a daily breaker over here. So this is really a very interesting area of interest. So the question is, would price show us a retracement through Monday into the daily fair value gap and then drop slower, or maybe we will see a price keeping on dropping lower and then we could potentially see a retrace back into this daily fair value gap? No one knows, but I think the odds of getting a retracement to the upside is on the table because Friday couldn't close below the low of Thursday. If Friday was closing heavily bearish, then I expect a continuation to the downside straight after the weekly open. But just because Friday was able to close within the range of Thursday, then yes, a retracement back is more than realistic. So this is going to be the area of interest. Alternatively speaking, Okay, and I'm heading to the H2 time frame right now. Alternatively speaking, if I see price just keep on going lower within Monday, okay, then it created already a liquidity that could be an order block or a fair value gap on other time frames, so that price can continue lower from. In this case, when I see an extra displacement to the downside, price is telling me that it's not respecting this sell side anymore, and it's just ready to manipulate higher, fill out the daily imbalance, which is very important to be filled, and then push lower. So I either want to see something like this or just simply something like this. Okay, without reaching this sell side. I want the displacement to occur without reaching the sell side, so we have a higher edge to continue lower before we even correct further. So this is the plan, plain and simple, for the EU, and I think that we will see one of those scenarios playing out either on Monday or on Tuesday. So let's wait and see. So moving forward into the GU, and again guys, so once you get the bias right for the DXY, the rest of the market follows. So this drop was really expected from last forecast covering this daily fair value gap, even though the market had manipulated a little bit higher, but then it respected the closing basis on the daily time frame and just continued to the downside. So just a quick recap for this over here. So within this daily fair value gap, price made a high on Monday, swept this high during Tuesday. There was some news and then displaced lower. Okay, so displaced lower below this breaker over here. Notice this 12-hour order block, how it played out beautifully. Okay, it was highly correlated with the EU structure, and then we've noticed another displacement to the downside, okay, leaving behind a 12-hour order block within this displacement that had definitely confirmed we are bearish. And so far, as an area of interest for the next week, I have this daily order block, okay, which is the same area as the 12-hour, as well as a 2-hour fair value gap nested just at this daily order block. So I'm obviously bearish. We're seeing a beautiful change in market structure to the downside. Okay, closing well below this breaker over here. And just the market is so ready to keep on pushing lower, at least to take those sell sides over here. Okay, this sell side, but which was a very critical um, level on the daily time frame, and of course keeping going lower into this sell side and this sell side over here. So my plan on GU is the following. Notice on the 2-hour time frame what is left unbalanced over here. So we have this 2-hour fair value gap is really very important because it is nested actually at this breaker and within this daily order block. Okay, so price created the buy side, and of course it dipped lower, but it couldn't actually break the structure to the downside. So this keeps the possibility that something like this could happen. So on Monday, get market open. Usually on Monday, market rallies to the upside. So if during Monday I'm seeing a manipulation to the upside, I'm gonna be very sharp on taking a continuation to the downside. I'm really gonna be so aware of how price action plays out over here into a continuation to the downside. So this would apply over accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution to the downside. Alternatively speaking, if I see price just keeps on pushing lower, displacing below this breaker, not respecting the sell side over here, then yes, we can play the probability of continuing lower off of a fair value gap aligning with a breaker over here. So again, on the daily time frame, I don't see the Friday closing well below Thursday. Instead, I see just an inside bar which can be indecisive. So the high of Friday slash the daily order block is the area of interest that I prefer to see. However, if I see the day closes like this, Monday for example, this daily order block over here becomes the next target for the continuation to the downside. So also pretty simple for the GU. Unless something out of this structure happens, I stay on the sideline until I understand more, and then we can continue the week. So last but not least, in the Forex market, we have the Australian dollar. So again, also this was the last point of defense for sellers, which price respected on a daily closing basis. But I didn't like the structure on the Australian dollar because it simply didn't move. So it couldn't confirm extreme bearish, and it wasn't able to reclaim bullish power. So price is still trapped over this level over here. But the good thing is that when we see EU and GU just trending lower first, this means that AUD is just a matter of time when we see AUD also displacing to the downside. So I think within this upcoming week, I think that we're gonna see AUD close below these lows over here on a daily closing basis, retrace higher, and then continue its push to the downside until this sell side over here, especially if DXY was able to maintain its bearish momentum. So what I want to see is the following. I want to see this push confirms as a full displacement, creating a well-developed low. So I want a breakout of this range, and I want a retracement into this breaker over here. So once I see something like this from AUD, I'll be so ready to short until the sell side that will be probably created, or hold my position until this sell side over here. So I think we can potentially see this playing out during next week on AUD. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast. It's just a matter of patience, really. At some point, you do nothing during the week for a couple of days, just waiting for a confirmation. You might miss out some moves in case price couldn't reach a specific area of interest. And that could be sometimes painful in trading, and you think, okay, I should either scale back in, or I should go into another pair. But really, the key here is to stay patient. So even though you might miss an opportunity, not be able to scale fully on a good take profit, or just simply miss a significant move that after it happens, it showed you that it was pretty clear. Um, Remember always to stick to your rules. Just be patient because market is really generous, and it's gonna definitely provide you the next A plus setup only if you are able to preserve your capital until it shows up, so you are ready to execute within the flow. So hope you enjoyed again. Thank you if you made it that far until this moment. I look forward to maybe make more updates during midweek, because there's a lot of things that are being updated. And yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this forecast, and I'm looking forward to see you next week. God bless you, and I wish you a beautiful week ahead. Let's go.